Everyone, and welcome to this morning's Early Childhood Education public lecture series organized by the Singapore University of Social Sciences. My name is Sirene Lim, and I'm one of the early childhood faculty members here at SUSS. So a little bit of history. We started this lecture series in 2022, and we took a break last year in 23 to organize an in-person early childhood conference and some other events. So this year we are back online, featuring both local and overseas academics and researchers. So before I introduce this morning's distinguished researcher, I'd like to remind everyone to have your microphones switched off during the presentation. And then we will have a Q&A. There will be an opportunity for you to interact a little bit. We will ask you to switch on your mics to ask your question if that's comfortable for you this morning. If not, I will look out for the chat box and look out for your questions. Okay, so a bit of introduction to our distinguished speaker today is Professor Michael Chia. Thank you for making time to prepare this lecture for us. Professor Chia is Singapore's first full professor of pediatric exercise science. He works at the NIE in Nanyang Technological University. He has a lot of academic work published, more than 200 publications, all focused on exercise, health, and well-being across age groups. So not just preschoolers, but also teenagers, adults. He is certified by the American College of Sports Medicine, as well as the British Association of Sports and Exercise Science. So without wasting too much time, I want you to hear from him and think about his sharing and have a little bit of interaction during the presentation. So I invite Professor Chia, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sirene, for the kind introduction. Good morning, Singapore. Everyone in the house, before we start, I need for everyone to help me make today's presentation an energetic and interactive one. So I'm going to invite you all now to please turn on your audio because we're going to say some nice words of self-affirmation. So get ready to turn on your audio. And then also please turn on your video if you are decent. So can we do that now? Okay, so I also invite Dr. Sirene and Chai-Sin to recite after me. So everyone, we can hear you so loud and clear. So say together, firstly, I am loved.
I am loved.
Okay, with real feeling, right? So I am loved again.
I am loved.
I am good.
I am good.
We are in this together.
We are in this together.
Okay, surely the 72 of us can say it much louder this time. Not only saying it out loud, we also do actions. That's the energetic bit. Huh? So, ready again. I am love.
I am loved.
I am loved.
I am good. Two thumbs up.
Good.
We're in this together.
We are in this together.
Now we must try to synchronize our voices with our limbs, right? Okay, again, I am love, love sign.
I am
Love.
I am good, two thumbs up.
I am good.
And we're in this together.
We are in
this
this
together.
Okay, this would be our signature sign at the beginning and at the end. So thank you so much. Now you can mute your audio and your leave your video on if you feel comfortable and you want to. So first and foremost, let me say a big thank you for setting aside this Saturday morning to listen to my presentation. I appreciate it very much, but I'm looking forward to learning from you through your questions and comments at the end as well. So this topic says it all. In today's day and age, what is a child to do if there isn't screen time? Just think about it, right? So I'm going to speak about a surveillance of digital and non-digital habits of pre-primary school children in Singapore. I am very, very grateful. Some of my team members are also online. Dr. Kim, I see him. I am grateful for a team of researchers, both local and foreign, comprising of academics, graduate students, and research associates who work very hard and play even harder. They are they are world-class human beings, and there's a reason why I continue to do research. As you can see in this slide is Dr. Sirene Lim. I'm also most appreciative for the invitation to address you. And this special mention, of course, goes to the Vice Dean and Head of Early Childhood. I enjoyed her thought leadership in articles that she contributed to the Straits Times recently commentary article on the importance of play in adults. Yes, adults should also play. And most recently, also in this very informative white paper authored by she and her team, titled Raising Singapore Kids for a Better Tomorrow. Are we brave enough to let our children play? So we're all very brave people, and we should actually let our children play even more and play with them even better. A little bit about my background and my past life. I was the Dean for Faculty Affairs at the NIE NTU, and also Head of Physical Education and Sports Science. But mostly, forevermore, like the Taylor Swift album, I am a physical education, sport, physical activity, and health advocate across the lifespan. The words on the screen read, I am but a tiny drop in the ocean of sport, but I can be the ocean in the drop in my contributions to sport, especially in serving others for the betterment of sport and humankind. Do not deny yourself the multiple benefits of being physically active and less sedentary that can bring to the utility and joy of living. And in the context of screen viewing in children, especially in schools, I had this comment to make. Young people need to better appreciate the tempo in real life, leaving time to dream, time to play, time for friends, time to be bored. Yes, time to be bored, and time to catch up with non-academic life. I think I would say the same for adults as well. Nonetheless, this is indeed a very personal choice. And my contention always is that we live in a world that is obesogenic and very sedentary. And in trying to transform obesogenic to energetic is a very complex, wicked problem. In an obesogenic environment, we struggle to balance screen time versus the rest of the time, not just children, but also adults. In 2021, I was very fortunate to lead a team of international experts from the United Arab Emirates, Canada, Italy, Australia, Singapore, in coming up with proposals and programs for the World Early Childhood Agency that was headquartered in the UAE. And they wanted us to address challenges for Middle Eastern children in early childhood so that they can flourish and thrive in the 21st century. Have a listen to this video clip.
Obesity, poor diet, physical inactivity are some of the wicked problems we face in our 21st century lifestyle, complex issues in multidimensional environments that are resistant to simplistic solutions. We will need to re-engineer the environment everywhere. Team 2 presents Transforming Obesogenic to Energetic. A 21st century lifestyle can create an obesogenic environment. What is an obesogenic environment? It is an environment that leads people to live a sedentary lifestyle, make poor food choices, and develop poor sleeping habits. We need to make prolonged sitting, eating unhealthy junk foods and takeaways, having an irregular bedtime, excessive screen time with little to no physical exercise abnormal and unacceptable. We should instead lay the foundation for an energetic 21st century environment. Outdoor play, healthy eating, limited screen time, and good sleep habits should be normalized, recognized, and applauded. We should encourage our children to spend more time outside in nature so that they will grow to enjoy, preserve, and protect it.
Saying it is easy, listening to it is easy, but doing it is always a big, big challenge.
Obesity.
Just to set the stage for today's presentation, I asked the big question, is screening a new form of play? Even when we go outdoors, it's quite common to see children still engage in screen time. I will play 2 video clips of my 5-year-old niece, Lauren, and 3-year-old nephew, Alex, at play, both indoors and outdoors. Let me know what you think at the end of the presentation. So this is Lauren and Alex outdoors at play. My forest school friends tell me that it is illegal to climb trees in Singapore, so I guess this is a nice substitute for it. So this happened daily, that they will go out at that age. But when they are indoors, they also enjoy a lot of screen time. This is Alex the day after, all right? You can see that they are enjoying outdoors the day before.
Alex, you wanna go downstairs?
No.
Look at the birds.
No.
The cat.
No.
Go with Mama.
No.
Red fire truck.
Go on the stairs, ESN.
No.
Go playground.
No.
So mom wants to go out. As you can see, the eye contact was very fleeting right at the beginning. It is so enthralling screen time with the fire truck. So key segments of today's presentation at a glance very quickly. I will talk a little bit about early childhood and care, why it matters and matters a lot, play benefits and deficits, Singapore, a city in nature, some of our NIE research on children meeting 24-hour activity guidelines, Singapore research on myopia, our immediate research response in the form of a recently awarded grant called Leave No Child Indoors, and our research question on how to transform obesogenic to energetic. And I'll end off with an invitation to collaborate. So let's start with the end in mind. So if you forget everything else, just remember what this slide, which sums up all our findings over several years. So firstly, screen time exceeded guidelines between 2020 to 2022. Remember, 2020 is the COVID pandemic. Therefore, a need for continued surveillance and redress. This, of course, is expected and needs remedy. Secondly, physical play, especially energetic outdoor play, is less than desirable and was curtailed during the pandemic, no surprise. Therefore, we need to reset some of these bad habits, obesogenic habits, to energetic one now that we're in COVID endemic. And finally, meeting all 3 activity guidelines for physical activity, meaning regulated screen time, sufficient outdoor play, and adequate sleep is good. This slide explains why early childhood and care matter and matters a lot. Even in the distant past, wise men or wise women used to say, give me a child till he or she is 7 years old and I will show you the adult. This, of course, emphasizes the importance of early childhood in forming good habits in later years. There's a video clip that I want to share that is supported by UNICEF and is produced by an Australian foundation. It is from the viewpoint of a 7-year-old on the TED Talk, Molly Wright. Please watch and enjoy this video.
What if I was to tell you that a game of peekaboo could change the world? Sounds impossible, right? Well, I'm here today to prove it's not. Hi, I'm Molly, and I'm 7, and this is my little friend Ari. Say hi, Ari. Hi. Oh, and this is my neighbour, Amajot. He has to take Ari away now to get ready for our experiment. But don't worry, they'll be back. My talk today is about some powerful things you grown-ups can do that shape us as children and the adults we become. How do I know? Because my parents and people around me did them, early and often. I know not all kids are as lucky. Some of my friends, some kids at my school, and many around the world. And I would really like to help change that. Thanks to scientists, we now know just how important the first 5 years are for our health and development, especially our brains. Ari started learning long before he was even born, from inside his mummy's tummy. When Ari was born, he was tiny, and he cried all the time. He was always hungry, and he pooped a lot. Now, he laughs and giggles and makes funny noises. But those are just the changes we hear and see. There's way more going on inside. So, let's talk more about our brains. The blue bag is the rough size and weight of a healthy baby's brain at birth. The red one is a baby's brain after the first year. It almost doubles in volume. And by my age, it's almost 90% the volume of an adult brain. Our brains develop faster in our early years than at any other time in our lives. It can create up to 1 million neural connections every second. But we need your help. Our healthy development depends on these top 5 things. 1, connecting. 2, talking. 3, playing. 4, a healthy home. 5, community. All of this helps our brains and does reach our full potential. So what's something you can do that can really make a difference? Scientists call it serve and return. That's just a grown-up way of saying connect, talk, and play with us. And here's the really big news. Amajot, Ari, you ready?
Ready?
Copycat games build imagination and empathy.
And
Naming games build vocabulary and attention.
is it Daddy? Ari! Daddy? Ari!
And games like peekaboo, yep, peekaboo, actually build memory and trust. Each time you talk to us, play with us, make us laugh, it not only builds and strengthens our relationships and mental health, it actually teaches us some of the most important life skills. From making friends, to taking a test, to getting a job, to one day maybe even starting a family of our own. Interactions early and often matter. Take it from me, the 7-year-old up here, talking about brain science. Okay, now, let's see what happens when the connection is taken away. So now he's trying to get his dad's attention again. He's reaching out like, that was fun, why have you stopped? I know it's important for adults to use their devices sometimes, but kids are hardwired to seek out meaningful connections. Not receiving them causes confusion and stress. Okay, Amajot, please re-engage.
Sorry.
Now, What if our whole childhood was like that last 30 seconds? How hard it would be for a child to feel calm, to feel safe, to learn to trust anyone, and the lifelong impact that would have. That makes me feel sad. Ari only reacted the way he did and recovered so quickly because the connection between him and his dad is usually so strong. The positive relationships with the grown-ups in our lives gives kids the confidence we need to try new things, to explore, and be a kid. So please try and remember the most special period for our development is the first 5 years, starting from inside Mummy's tummy. What's something really impactful you can do? Serve and return. And when? Early and often. Please give it up for Amachot and Ari. Every moment together is an opportunity to connect, talk, and play. Imagine the difference we could make if everyone everywhere did this. To us, to children, it's so much more than just a game. It's our future. Thank you. See? Peekaboo really can change the world.
So the point that I got was the 3 E's. We should be serving and return with young people as much as possible, everywhere, every time, everyone. So what is our rationale for doing research then with those introduction? So in the context of Singapore, we had a smaller study, an NUS study called iBaby in 2014. It showed that 50% of children under 2 years old were exposed to screen time. And 1 in 3 exceeded 2 hours of screen time daily. In 2019, our research in NIE showed that 27 of 2 to 6-year-olds, so pre-primary school children, had more than 1 hour of screen time every day. And this prompted us to conduct a larger international study funded by NIE MOE called ISA. So ISA stands for International Eye Preschooler Surveillance of Digital Media in Children Among Asians and Others. And I was fortunate to be the PI for this project. We justified our research by citing previous work in Singapore and showed links between excessive screen time and reduced physical activity and sleep in early childhood, while others showed that excessive screen time use led to more behavioral problems and also poor eyesight in young people. Research elsewhere also showed that excessive screen exposure in early childhood led to poorer academic results, attention problems, disruptive behavior, difficulty making friends among young people. And of course, the impact of COVID-19 also exacerbated things and made it worse, and therefore there's a need to reset behaviors. Indeed, COVID-19 negatively affected diet, physical activity, led to increased screen time, increased anxiety among young people and adults, and of course, this also affected quality of life. And there were media reports that showed that the lack of outdoor time worsened eyesight in children, and they cited NUS research showing that the COVID-19 pandemic, eyesight became worse, especially among young people. Singapore has been known as the myopia capital of the world. And as children stayed indoors because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they were underexposed to sunlight. Eye specialists recommend at least 40 minutes per day of exposure to outdoor sunshine to help prevent or lessen the severity of myopia in children. So there was a problem of screen time versus the rest of the time. We know that COVID-19 impacted and led to reduced physical activity and weight gain. So we embark on our ISA research to try to provide evidence to inform teachers, parents, and perhaps policymakers as well. Our conceptual framework was based on the social ecological model of health, where in early childhood especially, parents are known as the first teachers. They influence the habits of young people. Teachers in school are second teachers. And of course, the environment, school, home, and nature as the third teacher. We developed, validated, and reliability tested a questionnaire called Small Q, or Surveillance of Digital Media Habits in Early Childhood. This was a parent-reported questionnaire about the daily habits of their children before primary school. The Small Q collected information about digital media use, indoor, outdoor play activities, nighttime sleep, and dietary habits of children on both weekdays and weekend days. And these data were parent-reported. So we also use a parent report on child quality of life, which had the following scales: physical functioning, emotional functioning, social functioning, and school functioning. And our research questions were, what were the prevalence of screen media use in children, and how this changed over 3 years from 2020, 21, and 2022? And what were the key characteristics of the top 25% and bottom 25% of screen media use? And also the proportion of children meeting the 24-hour guidelines for physical activity, screen time, and sleep, according to the World Health Organization. We conducted the research with 4 preschool anchor operators. They service families from low to middle income families. And we also involved 3 private preschool operators. And of course, we used a questionnaire package consisting of the Small Q and the pediatric quality of life. The survey method, of course, had several limitations as well as advantages. Some of the limitations were that it is subjective. It was parent-reported data, even though we restricted the recall method to the last week. So there was possibly recall bias and social desirability bias. That means, parents tend to report what they feel is good and desirable, but we overcame that by keeping the questionnaire totally anonymous. So hopefully they reported accurate data on their children's lifestyle habits. The advantages, of course, we could involve a large sample size that was nationally representative. Recall habits were only limited to the last 7 days, and the questionnaire was totally anonymous. This slide presents a summary of the questionnaires used and the preschools that were involved in the study that I just narrated. And this slide presents an overview of the parent participants. The total sample size over the last 3 years was 4,771 valid data. I'm just going through the data in the red brackets. 77 were mothers. Parents were about 36 years old. Nearly 2/3 of them had household income in excess of $8,000 per month, and 58% had at least university education. And the children were aged 4 years old. 15.5% were overweight and obese. This slide shows children's first exposure to fixed and mobile screens. Fixed screens were, of course, television, desktop computers, while mobile screens were tablets and smartphones. So as you can see in the slide, children were exposed to fixed screens as early as 21 months, and children were exposed to mobile screens at 25 months. Importantly, we could see a trend of earlier exposure over the 3 years for both fixed and mobile screens. This slide shows that children over 3 years old had more than 2 hours of screen time per day. So this is more than double the 1 hour recommended for children aged between 2 to 5 years old. So you should not even have screen time when you are under 2 years old. So again, a very useful slide that shows screen time increases with age and also increases over time. And that there was a moderate association with children exposed to fixed and mobile screen times. What is alarming, as I mentioned, the guidelines by World Health Organization and also echoed by Singapore-owned guidelines is that there should be very, very limited or no screen time when children are under 2 years old. And yet 93% had daily screen time in this age group. So that's quite alarming. This slide shows that the overweight and obese groups of children collectively increased over 3 years. So for this age group, it was 15.1% in 2020, 15.6% in 2021, and 16% in 2022. So it was slowly creeping up. And remember, there were, more than 4,000 children sampled. This slide shows that parent use of screen media was moderately associated with child use, no surprise there. So children pick up habits of parents and of course parents' attitudes of screen use among children in early childhood also made a difference. This slide shows that parent education and household income did not have much of a bearing on child screen use. This is only a very small, there was only a very small negative correlation between child use and parent education and household income, saying that, independent of household income or parent education, screen use is very, very pervasive in this age group in Singapore. So this slide presents comparison between the heavy and light users of screen. Heavy meaning the top 25%, and light meaning the bottom 25% of child use of screens. So heavy child user of screen time slept less by about 30 minutes, had higher BMI, had lower quality of life by nearly 3 percentage points, and than light users of screen media. So total screen time, for example, at the top quartile was 4.5 hours per day, compared to just half an hour for the bottom 25% of child screen use. And top screen use quartile slept less by 30 minutes. The top quartile screen use also had 11% more overweight and obese. And top screen time use had lower quality of life by 2.6 points. So just taking research sample in 2022, more than 10% of toddlers and preschool children did not meet any of the 24-hour activity guidelines for physical activity, for sleep, and for screen time. So for specific activity guidelines, more met the sleep guidelines than of at least 11 to 13 hours for this age group, followed by physical activity of recommended of 180 minutes per day. And the screen time guidelines of less than 1 hour daily was adhered to the least. And this slide shows a mismatch between parent perception of adhering to screen time guidelines of less than 1 hour per day and what the reality was. While 60% of parents reported that their children adhere to less than 1 hour per day of screen time, in reality, nearly 79% exceeded the less than 1 hour of screen time use. And this was in the same survey reported by parents. So over the years, daily screen time decreased slightly over the 3 years, but still was double of the recommended guidelines of not more than 1 hour per day. Time spent in indoor play exceeded those of outdoor play, which average about only 30 minutes per day. Nighttime sleep duration and quality was not significantly different over the 3 years, but was at the lower end of the recommended hours for these age groups. So recommended sleep hours per day for infants should be 12 to 16 hours, including naps. For toddlers, about 11 to 14 hours, and preschoolers, 10 to 13 hours, while primary school children should have about 9 to 12 hours of good quality sleep. In summary, our findings, this is repeated in the slide earlier. So screen time exceeded guidelines throughout all those 3 years monitored. Physical play, especially at energetic play, was less than desirable. And meeting all 3 guidelines translated to better quality of life in children. What are some of our recommendations, right? As I said, easy to say, but difficult to carry out. And we need a lot of support and enablers. So firstly, to enhance parent education and school-home partnerships. So school and home working together to check young children's lifestyle behaviors and to encourage more activity in outdoor play. And also to focus on serve and return interactions, quality interactions between parent or caregiver and child, and also to create these shared experiences between parent and child, better still outdoors. So create meaningful, significant memories that can become milestones in children's life. So we shared our ISA results, so different pathways to impact on education and policy, collaboration, knowledge transfer, research, and application. So here are some examples. We provided workshops for parents and preschool children, and we had very interesting and enriching interactions, and we continue to do this. We went online with podcasts, reached out to several people. Some were invited, some were applied. So for example, we were on Dads for Life, where listeners could phone in and interact with us. We went public with our research findings, speaking at platforms like conferences and webinars. And of course, we engaged the news media as well. We had our own website that continues to generate a lot of interest and buzz called ISA. So isa.com, IISSAAR.com. And of course, academic publications are our currency, and we continue to put money in the bank. And some of our products are our validated and reliability tested questionnaire that continue to be used worldwide. And certainly I'd like to acknowledge and affirm the work of my world-class team made up of world-class human beings, and also funding resources from the NIE and MOE Singapore. So with that, I see you and thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it very much. And I'm happy to take questions or comments now. Thank you.